Hey, I didn't get the job. So for over the past couple of months, I've been trying to get a research job at UMD. It's like actually the reason I transferred from Pitt to UMD, and I've been trying to get something in AI research. Now, 3 months ago, I shifted to world models more specifically, and eventually I found something, do some referrals, two referrals to be exact, got some interviewing done, and we're in the talks for about 2 months now. And eventually, he kind of caved in. It's like, okay, we found a project because like he was like, okay, we'll do like maybe this project if it works out with this startup, or maybe this one, we'll just create a project for you to do. And eventually, he said, okay, we have a project for you. You have it. And it's a 3D world model thing, so right up your interest. And then I was like, okay, that's really awesome. And then the next day, he said, unfortunately, you're just not the best fit for the project. And I think it was really disappointing. I was really upset. Really great professor, by the way. Really great professor. I don't even think something like, oh, this professor now annoyed me, blah, blah. Like, really great dude. I would love to work with him. But I think for me, what happened, especially that day, was that there was this accumulated feeling of kind of rejection from the whole research community. I feel like in terms of the stuff I do, I can be able to break into like quantum research or we can join like the largest ARC organization at UMD or do this and this, right? But it's like the one thing I really, really want to do, I just can't do for some reason. It's like, yeah, I wasn't thinking I made a mistake. I feel like that's not who I am. But I was thinking, is this something possible for me to do? And if it's not, then like, do I just build this resentment against this idea of research? Um, and then I don't know. I decided that night, or I decided that night because after the midterms, I couldn't even like do anything. But after the midterm, I decided that night that what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go. No more calculated plans, no more anything. I'm just going to go door to door from every person I see, and ask them if they're doing world model research and if they have like a lab I can join or wherever. I was like, because there was nothing to lose at that point. Like, there was very few things. Like, worst case, I get a bad reputation in the research committee at UMD. I just can't get a job, blah blah blah. But I was like, at this current point, it just seems like that's already the case. So I did that next morning, and now I had like this, I had like this chip on my shoulder. So I kept on going from lab to lab, lab to lab. And it wasn't as bad. It wasn't like there was this like wall. It was just like, hey, yeah, this is what we're doing, or maybe this lab is doing that, and this lab is doing that. It was like it was a really big learning process for me because like I thought I did like all the research. I was going through the website and everything, but there was so many more stuff that I had not looked into, especially people as well. Um, it was a really great one. I had a conversation with a short conversation. Was basically about like they have a role model project that's actually coming up soon. We connected and said, hey, reach out to me next semester. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. But then there was one I really loved. Before I get to that, though, there was actually something really cool that I'm going to try and join. It's the latent space community. So they have a latent space reading. That's wrong. They have a Gaussian splatting reading group. I didn't know that was a thing. Like they have it for every Friday at 12 p.m. I was like, dang. And he said, I asked him if I can join. He said, yeah. I send me an email. Unfortunately, I'm be on to the next like 2 weeks, so have to wait for that. But I'm gonna send an email. So that's another thing, right? But slowly and slowly, I think that whole resentment I had built against this idea was like crumbling, but it was still there because like, regardless to say like I still didn't have a job, right? No job, no nothing. And then finally, I run into this dude. His name is Daniel. And it's like, yeah, I know this dude. He posted a paper recently. I thought, dang, that's really cool. And it's like, actually, there's another person in that room right there who I know. And he's doing something along the lines of generation, 3D, and all that. So he brought him to talk to me. And it was a very weird conversation because at first it was like, we're speaking different languages. He was asking, what's my prior? What's this? Like, because I had to tell them about like mini walk because they said, oh, what experience do you have? What project do you have? I was like, I wasn't really think of mini walk of like any mini wall model project you guys have. I'll be one to work on. But what project do you have? So the first thing I thought about was the mini wall, constrained the whole constrained learning process with learning off constraints and creating a continuous structured latent space, particularly for Lego bricks. But I saw them about that project and like the language barrier was there because like oh they were thinking in terms of like a PhD like oh how do you break this down? What's like the reason? What's the impact? Blah blah blah. And they're going to a bunch of stuff right. And the conversation lasted like maybe 30, 45 minutes. I even know. But it just kept on going into and at some point became less of like a I don't know, for me at least, it came off less as a test and more so like a genuine conversation. Because like I was then asking for advice, I was never able to really get. Because even with the professor who gave me the job and then took away the job, I was asking him questions about. I was sending him emails about the paper, never got back. So I think that was also another reason. Like even when I got the job, I had a feeling that I didn't really have it. It was like when like someone does something because like they just do it because like they don't want like be bothered with it anymore. That wasn't the feeling necessarily, but it was like along those lines. So it's like I had a feeling that this wasn't, but the point was this was different. I was just like talking and talking and talking, and it's even someone who I want to work with. It was like it was just weird to me because I've never actually done that before. It's like I was talking about a research idea with an actual researcher, an actual master or PhD student. I actually don't know, but I was talking with them. I was like the most fun thing ever. And I think that's what I kind of realized with this whole research thing is that I don't necessarily not say I don't want a job, but I don't think the job was necessarily the goal. It was just more so finding a community I could talk to, learn from, because there's so much I don't know. And like largely a lot of my stuff I have to learn is like videos, papers. ChatGPT has been a very siloed individual experience, right? I think it's like it's very lonely in that sense because there's only so much you can do in terms of yourself. And I think that's what I've been pursuing. It's so weird to me because like I don't know. It kind of changes the goal now. It changes the broad goal from just finding a research job to actually finding people to talk to. Like that dude, at the end said, "Yeah, I'm just gonna send you my updates." Like, yeah, show me, send me the updates. I'll give you some feedback. Blah blah blah. Right. And I think that was a connection I've been unknowingly looking for with this whole pursuit for a research job. And I think more so I just kind of want that. Like I think that's to kind of go even deeper, I think that's kind of what I seek to do with a lot of stuff I do. From like this whole big think AI thing, that's just largely like maybe it's selfish, but I just want to have a group of AI people that can share cool AI updates with like with world labs, world models, or like wherever OpenAI does, or some other cool paper, like JIPA or whatever, some or SAMFI, share cool stuff and have people talk about them, give ideas, learn from them, teach them stuff. I think that's the whole idea of why I'm like I like big things. With Sutherland, when I became the president, that was just largely to build a community of people where I could like work on a building and like do cool stuff. Like it was like some Terraria, or I said that wrong, but like some I'm forgetting the name of the game, but like Minecraft or whatever. Like have that community of people. I think um I don't know, I think it's necessary to realize that I don't necessarily just do things just to do them. I think it's largely in pursuit of a larger community, and this is like a very recent realization. Like I always know I like to serve people. Like that's like what you have to do as a kingdom man, right? It's a great, very great thing. But I think now having that understanding that I just largely want a group of people that I can like just share cool stuff with. It does change the way I look at things, and it does change the way I'm going to pursue this. With this research thing, I'm still gonna look for a research job, obviously, but I think I'm also just gonna look for more people doing cool stuff that I like to do and I want to do, and start talking to them, like really forcing conversations with them, where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna come here every day and share an update and ask you questions, and hopefully, I don't get like banned from the building. And that's like even how I found this whole the Gaussian spotting reading group that I can join. I think that's kind of the approach I have to take. There's also more logistic things, like with the whole research thing. A big issue that I found out, and I didn't really realize, is I was more so coming from the angle like, hey, can I just what kind of product you're doing? And I don't think they necessarily like that. I think they more so like to see that you have something you're working on, and then it's like they can implement you or they can absorb what you're doing into their lab. So I really should have come more from the angle of like, oh, I'm working on this. I'm going to ask some questions, and maybe you're interested in me as a potential person for your lab to work on other similar projects. So I'm gonna start doing that more. And I'm just also just gonna try. Like, even a big thing, I've been talking about this whole idea of Agora, which is like basically kind of a learning community. I'm really going to push for that more because I know how much I want it. I'm sure I'm not very rare as a person. I'm on average, but like there's many people who are like me. So I'm sure many people want similar things in that regard of our learning community. So I'm going to push for that more. But yeah, this was a bit unstructured. I probably should have structured it better, but I think it's a big shift in mentality. So I can't wait to see. I can't wait to work on the results or the flow and effects of this shift. Besides that, though, I have nothing else to say. So have a great day.